So the GM screen consists of two components, which you get both in the bundle when you order it. And the first is the Game Master Screen document, which contains advice on how to run Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's very, very useful for new GMs, but there's also lots of concepts, rules, and charts in here that will be super helpful to veterans as well. So it contains advice on what makes Warhammer, how to run a game, the main themes and ideas that run throughout stories in the old world. And of course, this is just advice, but will help you run a game that's very authentically Warhammer and really, really suits the old world. And I think that it can help make games more fun to run and more fun to play. It also touches on some of the more intricate rules of the setting. So you've got some ideas on how to deal with advantage, because sometimes players that are very canny can run away from you if you aren't careful about taking their advantage away from them, which is an important combat consideration. Along with that, you'll find some interesting advice on making some NPCs. Just one of my favorites are in here, which is an excellent cheesemonger that I definitely think you should try his cheese if you get the chance. And we also have the charts at the back. Now these are very, very handy for quickly coming up with adventures on the fly. So we've got a kind of we're hanging out in a pub chart, which lets you know, like a quick adventure you could find if you're struck for a job where you might make a few coin nice and quickly. It also contains a chart to explain how characters might know each other, which is useful for NPCs or for PCs starting out. I know not everybody loves running large session zeros where you figure out how everybody knows each other. So it can be good just roll a dice and say, well, I know you because I used to date your sister, and you know me because you killed my landlord one time and I helped you hide the body. So there's interesting stuff in there. And my favorite chart of all is definitely the chart of Doomings. So in the Empire, when you're 10 years old, that's the age of majority, when you're just about an adult, a doomsayer will come around and give you your dooming, which is a cryptic phrase explaining how you will die. And that will hang over you for the rest of your life. And I think that probably helps set the tone for the lives of people who, the lives of citizens of the Empire. And also it intersects nicely with some game mechanics, which is if your character dies in a way that suits their dooming, they get to retain a chunk of their XP, or rather the player does, for their next character. So I really love this document. I think it's great. And as I said, for new GMs or for experienced veterans, just pick this up. It will help you create just more flavorful, interesting games and make the burden of running games a little bit easier. Along with that, you also get this very cool thing, which is our GM screen. It's printed on a 3mm very heavy backed material, which contains some really lovely art, printed on one side by our own Sam Manley, which came out very, very well. And it shows the streets of Ubersreich, many of its very characterful individuals, and it's really, really nice for your players to be looking at while you hide your notes and dice behind it. And of course, on the other side, you'll find a whole host of charts and reference sheets full of really useful information, and some of the most looked up things that you will need are on here. Common conditions, you've got a quick reminder on how opposed tests and success level works, how advantage is gained and lost, most of the most common weapons, ranged and melee, as well as shields and armor types, quick rules on just lots of things that you might need. There's also this very handy chart of names, common names of halflings, dwarves, elves and humans in the Reichland, which is very, very handy because I know that I as a GM often struggle to pull an appropriate name off the top of my head, along with some character traits, motivations and quirk tables, which are very, very useful for quickly generating an NPC or to help out your players if they're having trouble coming up with a concept. So I really think this is a great addition for any GM. It's sturdy, it's strong, and it's a really, really nice tool. So I think you'll be running games with this for a long time to come if you pick it up. It's really great.